You can now play PlayStation 1's Wipeout in your browser. Hello, my name is Brendan, and this is another episode of Sunday Quickie. For those of you not initiated, in Sunday Quickie we don't script anything. We take a look at cool things going on in the retro gaming world that may not necessarily fit an established scripted video. And usually I say without, as high production values, but I don't know, the production values have lifted up quite a bit over the last couple of years, so probably going to stop saying that now. So anyway, today's subject is, like I said, Wipeout running in a browser. So, headlines, onto the computer for a sec. A new fan-made port of Wipeout can be played in a web browser. So, where's my mouse gone? There it is. I recently went to 3 monitors, so sometimes I just lose my mouse pointer. 10th of August, 2023. So I'm a little bit behind on this one, and that's okay. This was pretty big in the news back then. There are reasons why I'm a little bit behind at the moment. I'm sort of playing catch up, so there will be a short channel update of sorts, but at the end of the video, for those who want to watch it and for those who care more about Wipeout, or both. You can watch both. That's totally fine as well. So a little bit on Wipeout if you need a bit of a, I nearly said breather. If you need a bit of a breather on Wipeout, you don't need a breather. You need a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's gone. We better not dwell on it. Like I said, no script. So here is the original Wipeout. Just got to make sure that there's no reflection on that. Released on the PlayStation in 1995. There has been quite a few Wipeout releases over the years. Some paperwork just fell out of my thing there. That's okay. I've just recently rearranged the room to incorporate an aircon, so if you're wondering why everything looks different, that's the reason. Anyway, so the first Wipeout was released on PlayStation in 1995. There were several releases, including Wipeout 3, which is my personal favorite. And there's been several over different consoles over the years. The last console release was in 2017. That was called the Omega Collection, which was basically just several of the games remastered. The last actual game was on Android and iOS in 2021. This was called Wipeout Merge. Apparently this didn't do too well. I haven't personally played it, but supposedly the online component of it has already been discontinued, so ouch. So regardless, the story of being able to play a port of Wipeout in a browser goes all the way back to, I say all the way back to the March of 2022. So Forest of Illusion, who you may have seen on X, well, I'll just verbatim read what they said. Today we have released the source code to Wipeout by Psygnosis, a futuristic racing game set in 2052. It includes the source to both the original PSX game as well as its Windows port. Please note that it is currently unknown if these sources are fully buildable. Well, speaking from the future, since this was all the way back in March of 2022, yes, they are buildable, and there is a couple of cool projects on the go, including this one. So let's enter the mind of programmer Dominic. I'm gonna guess the Z is silent. Sabluski? No doubt I'm saying that wrong, and if you are watching Dominic, I'm very sorry. I'm just going to refer to you as Dominic for the rest of the video. Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully it's not too informal. So Dominic is from, I wonder if he'll say. Doesn't say where Dominic is from, but that's okay. But regardless, he is a programmer, and I guess I'll start playing footage of the port now. He downloaded this release and realized it was mostly a special Windows edition of Wipeout that was bundled with ATI graphics cards. Remember when they were called ATI graphics cards? Great times. Apparently it was a bit haphazard. Apparently the code was quite difficult to work with, and it also contained elements of both the PlayStation and the original PC-DOS versions of the game. So the code was pretty messy from what I gather. There is a very in-depth blog post, which I will link below, where he talks about how he basically recompiled this code and basically ended up doing a complete rewrite, which is the basis of his project. And it can be played on several different platforms like Windows and Android, but it's the browser version that we're focusing on today because it is just so cool that you can just load up a browser and just play Wipeout. Regardless, the code he started with was over 40,000 lines, over 40,000 lines of code. And he whistled this down to 7,000. So he's had a mega task in front of him. If you read the blog post, apparently he had a great time doing it. So obviously a very passionate programmer, which is great to see. And yeah, recompiled to run on several different platforms. I'm reading my notes out of order as per usual. So I'll link the link. I'll put the link in the description so you can play this yourself. Basically, there are two versions. There is a minimal version that is only 11 megabytes, but that is missing the music and the intro cutscenes. Sorry, bit turbo today for some reason. However, if your internet can support it, you want to be playing the complete version, which includes the music and the cutscenes. That's 144 megabytes. So for context, with my Australian potato internet, which was about 30 megabits a second when I measured it at the time of downloading, I recorded the whole download segment and it took less than a minute. I think it took about 40 seconds, so not too bad. So obviously calculate that depending on your internet, but kind of good in this day and age. 144 megabytes to download something on the whim on the internet isn't too much these days. So like I said, it's, as far as I can tell, it's pretty much the full game. And there is even an FPS counter. I was running this in Google Chrome and I was getting between 20 and 30 frames a second, depending on how much geometry was on the screen, how many other, different players, well not players, opponents there were, stuff like that. So really playable. The intro cutscenes did seem a bit compressed. I sort of noted to myself as I was playing, but I realized that's just probably the resolution, like the original PlayStation and PC DOS resolution. Obviously I'm playing on a 4K screen. It's been blown up and that's just probably the way it looks. Didn't test it with a controller. Not actually sure if you can play it with a controller. That is one thing I meant to figure out before making this video, so sorry about that. But I played it on the keyboard and it's kind of hard to play on the keyboard. As much as I love Wipeout, I've always sucked at it. I've never really gotten a hang of the left and right air brakes, even though I do consider myself quite good at racing games. It's one of my genres, if you will. It's even harder on the keyboard. So I think Z was the attack, X was the accelerator, while C and V are the left and right air brakes, respectively. I found it very hard to have like using my 4 fingers on those keys and, accelerating and braking left to right as well as attacking all at the same time. Like, I'm not a very good touch typer. I only type with I think maybe 6 fingers all up, and I can't play piano worth shit. So didn't really use the brakes as I was playing, which is pretty much what I'm getting to. But regardless of the footage you're seeing of me banging around the walls, it did play pretty decently. Now the game is mostly complete, but there is a bit of a to-do list on the GitHub, which of course is also linked below. Anything I mentioned, it's all linked below. You don't have to go looking for it around the internet. If I just scroll to not yet implemented. So basically there's like a shake screen effect. I guess that's probably when you hit walls or get attacked. There's like game end animations, which aren't in there yet. There's no high scores in the options menu. There's no reverb for the sound effects and music when there's more than 4 track faces, like in tunnels. So basically if you're enclosed, in the original game there was a bit of a reverb. They haven't implemented that yet. And there's a few other small little things, but the music is a big thing to mention. So obviously Wipeout is very well known for its soundtrack. I think it even mentions it on the box. Maybe that's in one of the other games. Anyway, basically the soundtrack includes some huge like electro and dance bands of the time, particularly from the UK, like the Chemical Brothers and Orbital. That music isn't in this, I guess probably for copyright reasons. Now the music that is playing, I think there's only 1 or 2 tracks that just play on a loop. I'm not entirely sure if it's royalty-free music, just to make sure that there's no issues, even though they've ported the whole game across anyway. They don't want to feel the wrath of the copyright in the music industry, God forbid. It may be the more generic music in the game. It's been a long time since I've played it, and I should have done my due diligence and fired it up or looked up some gameplay to see what was going on. I didn't, so apologies for that. Also, but speaking of not wanting to kick a beehive, basically. That blog post I mentioned before, it is a bit agonizing towards Sony. So I was worried that when I knew about this when it hit news cycles a couple of months ago, and they directly antagonize Sony, and obviously Sony do not care. And the next quote is applicable to that, which I'll read in a second, but 2 months later, it's still up to play as of releasing this video. So basically, and this is a direct quote, it says, "If anyone at Sony is reading this, please consider that you have, in my opinion, two equally good options. Either let it be, or shut this thing down and get a real remaster going. I'd love to help." And I agree with that 100%. So obviously he doesn't care about Sony, the gaming side of Sony. Maybe he does care about the music side of Sony. I'm not sure. Basically, there's to, package this all up in a nice little outro. It's very playable, it's very cool, but he says himself there's still some bug fixes and features to be added. So that is Wipeout in a browser, which is very cool. Am I recording the screen? Yes, I am. Okay, I've been talking to her for 11 minutes, so I guess probably now is a good time to just, sit back a bit, have a drink, I don't have one, and talk about this channel and me at the moment. So, I've got some good and bad-ish news, bad news. So, the good news, which is also kind of the bad news, is that I got a new job in the real world. This is not my job, believe it or not. I'm even like crossing my legs on the seat and everything, getting real casual, don't need to be that casual. So for the most part, this is a good thing. My other job was very demanding with its hours. I had to work outside and the hours just weren't predictable, and that really impacted this channel sometimes. This new job I've got, it's indoors. I set my own hours. I even got a bit of a pay rise. Overall, really good, but I've only been there a matter of weeks and I'm very much in the learning stages at the moment. And the job is quite technical. So it's obviously right up my alley. I'm on a computer doing technical stuff all day, but because I'm learning it at the moment and just sort of absorbing it, it's a huge brain drain at the moment, and that is affecting the release schedule. So for those of you who care enough to stay to the end of the video at least, I thought I would at least give you the heads up. So my last video, which I released, the unreleased or unobtainable, I think I was editing that for about 2 weeks on and off, and it's only a 10-minute long video. I wrote the script about 3 weeks ago, I recorded about 2 weeks ago, and then it just basically sat on my computer. And as of filming right now, I just got it uploaded last night. On top of that, I've got to go on a bit of a trip. I won't get too deep into the details, but there was a death in my partner's family, so I've got to go fly over east to attend the funeral, stuff like that. So that is going to affect the release schedule and all that. But that's just life. These things happen. You have to address it. And it all goes above a YouTube channel, I'm afraid. But that's just wanted to point out why the release schedule has been a bit sporadic recently. And of course, this does affect my other channel for all the Brendan's Odyssey viewers out there, all 80, I think I'm nearly up to 90 subscribers on there. But yeah, that is affecting that channel as well. So just thought I'd let you know, just thought I'd give you the heads up, but I am still actively working on videos. They're just probably going to release a little bit slower. Regardless, thanks for listening, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.